Welcome to Challenger Deep, athletes rising above adversity, where we explore stories of athletes who've faced their lowest points and risen to incredible heights. Did you know Challenger Deep is the lowest point in the ocean, making it the lowest point on Earth? When you're at your lowest, the beautiful truth is there's nowhere to go but up. We all face adversity, but how we choose to respond defines who we become. Join hosts Jeff Hagee and Tammy Matheny as we share powerful stories of everyday athletes' resilience, growth, and triumph. These stories will inspire you to rise above your challenges and reach new heights. Let's dive in.
All right, welcome back to Challenger Deep Athletes Rising Above Adversity. I'm excited to be here today. Have a special guest with us, Shawnee Harle, and I'm excited to share some of her story and kind of talk about some amazing things that she's done through her career and what she continues to do to help athletes become better. Now, I'll let Shawnee tell more about herself, but she's a two-time Olympian. She was with Canada basketball for 8 years as assistant coach. 20 years, I believe, as a university coach. A lot of different things we can add to her resume, but I had the opportunity to get to know Shawnee when my daughter played for Alberta basketball, and they had her helping out with some of the important parts of that game. And she really had a huge impact on my daughter, and I really appreciated that. And so, Shawnee, tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you're doing now.
Well, what I'm doing now fires me up so much because everything I'm doing now, I didn't know diddly squat about any of it when I was an athlete back in the day. And I really felt like I didn't know much about it even when I was a full-time head coach. And I think that's why I get so fired up is, that understanding that what goes on, how we think and how we feel, what an effect that has on our performance. And sport really tells us not to think too hard and not to feel, especially anything negative. And I think that's why I'm fired up is like, jeepers, if I knew then what I know now, but that's what my grandpa used to say. So soon old, so late smart. And the fire up part is because I get to help people become smarter sooner than I did.
That's awesome. That's
I
awesome.
love it. I think eventually we all say that. If I knew, then what I know now, and my grandfather said the same thing. So, I think we all can relate to that. That means we're getting wiser.
Mm, I agree. I hope so.
Yeah.
Hey, this episode of Challenger Deep Athletes Rising Above Adversity is brought to you by doTERRA, the world's leader in essential oils and wellness products. Are you ready to fuel your health and recovery like a pro? Listeners of this podcast can get 25% off all their doTERRA products and supplements. Head to the link in our show notes or go to confidentathleteprogram.com/doTERRA and start your journey to peak performance today.
So tell us a little bit about your resume too. I want you to brag on that a little bit about the Olympian and Canada basketball coaching, all of those things.
I think of it more as instead of something to brag on, I look at it more as what did it teach me? And my most of my adult life, I believed that I was meant to be a coach. I was a head coach for 20 years, and then I was an assistant coach with our Olympic team through 2 Olympic cycles. And I believe, like, boom, this is it. This is the calling. And the cool thing is, when I look back on my resume, everything that happened on it was necessary for me to be where I am today. So I look at all of the things that I've done, the things I didn't do, the things I wish I had done differently as necessary. I couldn't be where I am today as a mental toughness coach if I hadn't have had all the experiences and the depth and breadth of the resume that I have.
Well, I know very little about you right now, and I've been anxious all day to get to pick your brain. This podcast is based around adversity, which I know if for you to get to where you've been, you've obviously had your share, and I look forward to hearing some of those stories. But before we dive into that, what is your definition of adversity?
I'm pausing because I got about 5 thoughts all jumped in there at the same time. So I have to pick. So this is the thought that comes to mind. I wouldn't have defined it this way earlier in my career, but this is how I define it now. Adversity is when we get what we don't want.
I like that.
And the reason I believe that that's adversity, because when we get what we don't want, we don't know what to do about it. And then I think that makes the adversity become turmoil.
That is a great definition. I like that. So yeah, I love that, because it's exactly what we talk about. Because when we get that turmoil, that's the moment where it seems so terrible and so bad. And at the time it is, but so often we look back and what we learned from it gets us to where we are, helps us. And our whole goal here is for people to be able to, when they get to that point of turmoil, be able to use these stories, use these experiences they hear on our podcast, in the book, and say, you know what, that's how they got through it. I can get through it too. So what would you suggest is a way, when someone is in that moment of turmoil, how should they respond rather than react?
I think I'll have to back up a little bit. What if we expected adversity and turmoil? I think one of the reasons we don't do well with it is because we spend all of our time trying to avoid it. But the truth is, every time we show up, whether it's in sport, in relationships, in jobs, in life in general, there are always two truths. We are either going to get what we want, or we're not. And what if we just accepted that those are two truths, and we stopped fighting against the uncomfortable truth? What if whatever journey we're taking, whatever goals we're pursuing, what if we said, yep, and there will be turmoil, there will be adversity, there will be hard times. And then we would say, so you know what? I think I would be well served to prepare. It's the analogy of, we don't prepare for the storm in the middle of the storm. It's too damn late. Frickin'. We have to prepare before the storm. So what if when we are journeying, we're like, there are going to be storms, and instead of trying to avoid them, I'm going to prepare for them. And when we prepare, it helps decrease our fear. So I think that's actually a good place to start. And again, I'm talking to my younger self, because I can say this now because I'm so old and wise. But my younger self, when the adversity came, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I was mad. I'm like, what? Why is this happening? Instead of course, this is happening. This is the price and the admission for greatness. You don't get there for free. Adversity and turmoil are the price. It's the price tag. So let's handle it. I think that is a healthier way to start, rather than, holy crap, here's the adversity. I'm so mad. I'm so sad. I'm so upset. And now give me tools. I'm like, wow, wouldn't it be cool if we had tools sooner?
And isn't that what the best do? They welcome that adversity, because that helps set them apart. And I'm sure you have seen that either as a coach or an athlete, where you embraced it, you had prepared for it, and it helped you rise above? Do you have a story that you could share with us?
I do, and I think to tell the truth here, I don't think I've ever embraced it,
Okay.
and I don't think I need to. I think I need to accept it. And I think there's something different there. Do I embrace it? Embrace it means like, bring it on. Come on, adversity, give me some more. Whereas I'm like, no, there will be adversity and I'm equipped to handle it. So let's accept it and deal with it. So that would be my truth. I don't ever feel like I've embraced it. I think that I've gotten better at accepting it. And I think because I learned to do that for me, I think that's made me a better coach when I work with athletes who are stuck in this adversity, all of the time. And you asked me about sharing a story. What would you like to would you like me to share an athlete story from an athlete that I work with, or what would you like me, or not? Well,
Sure, whatever comes to your mind, because I have a feeling you have tons of stories from any scenario there.
yes, isn't there? Because everybody gets adversity, right? That's why there's so many stories. Like adversity is not exclusive, like, it's inclusive, right? We all get smacked in the head with it. Um, I'll share a couple of athlete stories. I work with athletes from all walks of life. I mean, my youngest client is 7 years old, and all the way up to Olympians and adult athletes. So it's a really wide range. But the thing that's so interesting, none of them have unique adversities. Right? It's like, yeah, okay, yeah, heard that. Yeah. Like there's a commonality about what adversity means, because it means you got what you didn't want. And I was working with a very elite softball team, and I had done some mental toughness work with them. And it always was based on, let's start at the end and work backwards. And if we do that, for most athletes, they want to show up on the biggest day, the biggest stage. They want to show up as their greatest self. And what I think is so intriguing is how come so many don't? How come they show up as their scared self? So most of the athletes that I work with that are elite and pursuing big goals and big dreams, that's what I'm preparing them for. The biggest day, the biggest stage of your life, where you can show up with courage rather than fear. And the softball team that I was working with, one of the best stories that the coach shared with me was, she's like, Shawnee, she said, you're going to love this story. We're playing in a big game, and the pitcher can't throw a frickin' strike. Because you know what happens when you're pitching? It's a big game, right? You're worried, oh no, oh, what if I walk them? What if I hit them? What if they hit a home run, right? We're thinking about all the things that we don't want. And she said, so I'm giving all the tips and trying to give, all the things that to try and help them pull themselves out of the adversity. And the first baseman looked over at the pitcher and said, save yourself. And I thought, isn't that interesting? Because that had been what I'd been teaching this group. We'd been working all season. I'm like, on the biggest day, the biggest stage of your life, your boat flips over in the middle of the ocean. The waves are huge, pounding on your head. and you're frickin' laying out there drowning, swim, because you know how to swim. And sometimes we forget. Oh, right. And when this first baseman just looked right at her and said, save yourself. I'll tell you why I love that story. Because the truth is, who's going to save us from adversity? Who's going to save us from turmoil? Our coach? Our parents? Our teammates? Social media? Hell no. Who's going to save us from adversity and turmoil? It's us. And I really believe this is the inner game. This is the heart work that every great athlete learns to do. Because if we know how to save ourselves in the storm, we don't have to fear the storm because we know it's coming, whether we want it or not. And if we can build a mental toughness toolkit that says, yep, there's the storm. I've just walked 2 batters in a row on the biggest day, the biggest game of my life. What am I going to do now? I love the story because it's like frickin' swim. Stop laying there drowning, because at times that's what we do when the adversity hits, is we just lay there and drown and hope the lifeguard's going to jump in and save us. I'll pause there.
I love that analogy. You can tell I'm just nodding my head here and just smiling. But what a great analogy, because you're right. I think too often athletes want someone else to save them. Our mom and dad try to come in and save them. But yeah, that's a great story, Shawnee.
No, that's a story that goes beyond athletics too. That is just life in general with adversity. I love that.
You know what it made me think of is when the first baseman said to her, save yourself. Another way that we can interpret that, like, let's say we don't have those words. We don't even know about storms and saving and lifeguards and all that thing. What if we just said, how do I prepare for the storm? Right? Because if we have to know it's coming, what if we said, okay, how do I do that? What if I said, become a great problem solver? Because what is adversity? We got what we didn't want. That's a problem. Every problem has a solution. What if we became great problem solvers? What if that pitcher, like if we got into that pitcher's head instead of save yourself, somebody had said, solve the damn problem. And what if that pitcher had been able to go, oh, I see what's happening. I'm worried about giving up a home run, and that's making me tentative. And now I'm not hitting my target. Oh, good to know. How do I solve that? Like, what if we just became better at noticing what is going on? What am I thinking? What am I feeling? What's the problem? Oh, okay. And then we started solving problems. Would we be as afraid of adversity? And I think, remember I said adversity becomes turmoil? I think it becomes turmoil because we don't solve the problem. Or we don't know how to solve the problem.
Right. And I think that a lot of that ties to as well when we're not prepared for it, when we don't have that knowledge that that's what we need to do, we need to swim or we need to solve the problem, we get all consumed by it. And we can't take that step back and say, okay, how am I going to solve this problem?
That's really
So
good.
this is excellent. This is better than good. But give us a tool or two that you use to help these athletes or to help that team prepare for that turmoil.
Yep. I have a little formula that I use or that I teach, and it's 3 steps. And step 1 is WAIT. It's an acronym, WAIT. And what I love about the word wait, it's like wait, like pause, take a moment, take a breath, chill for a second. And then WAIT stands for what am I thinking? If we don't know what we're thinking, we can't change it. So if we go, what am I thinking? Another way of saying it is, what's going on with me right now? So that's step one, wait. Step two is shift. When we start noticing, oh, this is what I'm thinking about. Remember that pitcher was like, holy crap, I've just walked 2 hitters in a row. What if I give up a home run? Now, if she would stop and wait and notice that, you go, oh, I see. And then we shift. We shift to thoughts that, okay, I'm going to back up. Wait. I will tell you what athletes notice every time I give them this formula. And I tell them to wait and think about what they're thinking about. And I ask them this: are your thoughts, do the thoughts and feelings that you have, do they feel strong or weak? Weak. Confident or unconfident? Unconfident. Disempowered, empowered. Disempowered. Right. So the shift is, what is a thought that would change that feeling from weak, disempowered, unconfident? What's a thought that would shift it? There's like, do you know how many thoughts you can choose from that would shift that? Let's go back to that picture. Holy crap, I just walked 2 batters. Now I feel weak, disempowered, scared, nervous, worried, blah, blah, blah. What's a shift? Be like, you know what? This isn't my first rodeo. I've been here before. This is what I've been working on all year long. Oh, I actually have some mental toughness tools. Maybe I should take those tools out and use them. Whatever words that help us shift the feeling from weak to strong. Then step 3 is choose. So wait, shift, choose. And choose is choose a courageous action. A courageous action that makes a difference. So that pitcher could go, holy crap, I've just walked 2 batters in a row. The shift is, hey, this is exactly what I signed up for. This is where I want to be. This isn't my first rodeo. I've been working on this all year. And then choose. She can stand up there and get the signal from the catcher and be like, I'm going to dial in and I'm throwing this pitch with everything I got. And I'm aiming right for that target. So she chooses a courageous action. Does it work every single time? No! There's nothing that works every single time. But this formula gives you a chance to solve the problem and save yourself.
So I have to ask, what happened with this team in that game?
Holy cows, that's such a good question.
You got me on. I feel like I'm watching this game as you've described it, so I need to know. Was
Well,
she able to shift?
what I remember is so often, right, when things start going badly for a pitcher, you know what happens. They get taken out, right? Because somebody else comes in. That pitcher did not come out. Like she was able to get her act together and reset, whatever, all of these words that we have, right? But she was able to shift because the words from the first baseman were the thing that she needed. It's like, start swimming. And you know what? I honestly don't know what happened in the game because I didn't care. I really didn't care. What I cared was what happened when the storm hit. What did you do about it? Did you start swimming?
I love this. And anyone listening, athlete, parents of athletes, you guys just got a very rich, probably expensive lesson here for free. So I hope everybody took notes like Jeff and I were doing. But that's great, Shawnee.
Well, and just while we're on that subject, go to shawneeharle.com and get on her email list because this is what you get. So make sure to go check that out. Well, awesome, Shawnee. That I love that story and the whole wait, shift, choose. That is so powerful. So thank you for sharing that. as you know, the book Challenger Deep Athletes Rise Above Adversity, that's why we wrote it, was to give these examples of the pitchers, the basketball players, whoever it is that has faced adversity and how they got through it, and help our athletes, coaches know how they're going to get through it. And we just got given a formula on how you can do that. So thank you. For those that haven't got the book, you can get it on tammymatheny.com, on Amazon. You can go to jeffhagee.com/free book. You can get it. Obviously, highly encourage you to get that. But Shawnee, besides your website, getting on your email list, where else can people find you and follow you?
They can find me on social media. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, and I'm even on TikTok. Oh, what a world. And that's just my first and last name. Shawnee Harle is where they can find me.
And we'll put that all in the show notes as well.
Great.
Well, anything else that you want to leave us off with, or Tammy, is there anything you want to? I'm guessing right now, if I said, Tammy, we've got 4 more hours with Shawnee, she'd say thank you. So
Yes. You're speaking my language, Shawnee. I could talk to you all day, and I appreciate the gift you have given us and our listeners.
I'd leave listeners with this thought. Until we face our deepest fears, we will never show up as our greatest self. And if you look at these words of adversity and turmoil, like you look at those words, if you go underneath there, they're all fear-based. And when we figure out what our deepest fear is and we face it, and then we say, you know what, if my deepest fear happens, do I believe I can handle it? And the day that you can say yes and mean it is the day you become free.
awesome.
Very good.
That is so good. So again, thank you, Shawnee. Appreciate you taking the time. And to our listeners, obviously, go follow Shawnee, go to her website, follow her on social media, especially TikTok. But thank you so much.
You're welcome.
If in just 4 weeks from now, your daily habits, your mindset, and your results look completely different, better, sharper, more focused. That's exactly what the 4-week win challenge is all about. It's for high achievers just like you, who are tired of starting over and are ready to build routines that actually stick. You'll get the tools, the accountability, and the momentum to crush your goals and build a version of yourself that you're proud of, starting now. So if you're serious about taking the next step, go to jeffhagee.com/win, and let's make the next 4 weeks a turning point in your life.
Thank you for joining us on Challenger Deep, Athletes Rising Above Adversity. We hope these stories inspire and equip you to tackle life's challenges head on. Don't forget to visit www.confidentathleteprogram.com/Challenger Deep to get all of our free resources from the book, your copy of our book, and access to 2 free weeks of the Confident Athlete Program. Remember, in life, adversity only visits the strong. It stays forever with the weak. Let's rise above together. See you next time.